Hi, I'm Brian Kellerman, co-founder and Chief Food Safety Officer at Kellerman Consulting, and you are watching our video series on corrective and preventive actions. And in this video, we are going to review how management should review and audit nonconformances and Capa program activities to make sure that the program is working and that it connects to a culture of food safety within the organization. We will review the difference between an internal audit and a management review, and what parts of the nonconformance and Capa records should be reviewed in each of the internal audit and the management review. After that, we will discuss follow-up actions that are required when gaps or deficiencies are discovered through these processes. While management connection to all aspects of the program is required in all activities, the nonconformance and Capa review is crucial to our program and should be the start of any review of the program. How far back to review, who should be involved in the review, and how quickly follow-up action occurs can be decided on a case-by-case basis in your facility. But regardless of what you ultimately decide, review should happen regularly, it must be documented, and follow-up should be prioritized. So let's break down what an internal audit of your nonconformance program is, and then we'll come back to management review. An internal audit is where documentation is reviewed for accuracy, availability, and completeness. All parts of the developed food safety system should be internally audited using a form or prompt so that organized review occurs. Internal audits are typically performed by an internal audit team in large organizations and the quality assurance or operations department in smaller organizations. Individuals conducting an internal audit should be trained in internal auditing best practices. This can be an outside consultant or a trained employee. Since an internal audit is a documentation review, it should focus on nonconformance reports, Capa project reports, follow-up observations, and any GMP walkthroughs or other inspections that have looked at facility operations where nonconformances may be written down. The internal audit may review all nonconformance Capa actions and walkthroughs, or it can be focused on a random selection of those records. Regardless of how records are selected, each record reviewed must be found to be complete, signed by the appropriate writer and reviewer, and it must be clear in the finding, the corrections, the corrective actions, and the preventive actions. During this audit, we can reserve judgment on the quality or appropriateness of the correction and corrective actions. Instead, we want to focus only on whether the record keeping itself and the completeness of the records are maintained. A nonconformance or unacceptable finding should focus on missing information, incomplete records, or undocumented follow-up. One thing to note here is that if the auditor finds that corrections and corrective actions are completed upon separate corroboration, the findings may take the form of suggestions to improve the record keeping without necessarily finding that the program itself is in error. In contrast to internal audit review of nonconformance and Capa documentation, management review involves management instead of the internal audit team, although the internal auditor may participate here if they choose. Also different from the internal audit is that here we are focused on whether the program is working properly in regards to the findings of nonconformities, and that the corrections, corrective actions, and preventive actions were properly performed according to the core values and operational requirements. Ideally, management has either been the source of nonconformance findings during management walkthroughs, or they have been made aware of the nonconformance within the facility through normal management interactions or culture of food safety meetings. In these situations, the management review is going to be an efficient and knowledgeable assessment of how these nonconformance and corrective actions are handled throughout the organization. Delegated actions may also be reviewed during this review, and supervisory actions should also be clear and reviewable. Where this is the case, it will be obvious whether the system is working or if we have deficiencies in how we carry out the required nonconformance and Capa actions to assure proper functioning. If management chooses to also review the record keeping, that is fine, but since we really do want an independent internal audit where possible, management should try to focus their attention on the actual actions. During management review, all nonconformances involving key metrics since the last time those events were reviewed should be discussed. Since management will have already been made aware of those events as soon as they happen, questions about follow-ups, monitoring, and observations since those nonconformances occurred should be sought for assessment. Similarly, All disciplinary actions should be reviewed as part of this program review, and signs that disciplinary actions were carried out properly from an HR standpoint to prevent lawsuits, as well as operationally to verify that improvements to the program occurred after the problem employee was removed. Once those are complete, a review of the numbers of nonconformance and associated corrections, corrective actions, and preventive actions should be performed. We mentioned this in the first video of the series, and it bears repeating here. There is no limit or requirement on the number of nonconformances that are presented to management. Instead, these reviews are the requirement, and you should be looking to see if the number of nonconformances are increasing or decreasing. These trends should be used as an indicator of the progress of your business. The first time you perform the management review meeting, this may not be possible, especially if nonconformances have not been recorded consistently prior to the implementation of this program. That's okay. But if we perform this review monthly or quarterly, and the last time we looked at there were 15 nonconformances, and during the current review there are 10 nonconformances, this is an improvement in the right direction and we're celebrating, even if the number is greater than your target. If you would like to combine internal audits and management review of nonconformances, corrections, corrective actions, and preventive actions, that may be done, but where this is attempted, there should be a clear understanding that management review is for effectiveness and internal auditing is for document completion. Where these are merged, management obviously must be part of the process, and the internal auditor should be a separate person, so at least 2 people would need to be performing the dual process. The results of the combined process should have a clear explanation that both actions were performed at the same time, and findings should be split between management review findings and audit findings. We are going to finish our review of nonconformances, corrections, corrective actions, and preventive actions by looking at trending these findings as part of the culture of food safety. Trending means that a graph, such as one presented here, is presented as a visual representation of the nonconformances. In plain language, that means a bar graph or line graph with the number of nonconformances each month under review. What we are looking for here is whether the number of nonconformances are going up or down over an extended time frame. We just said that we like to see the nonconformances going down from month to month, but far more often that number can fluctuate from one month to the next. This fluctuation can be confusing to keep track of unless we have a graph showing those ups and downs. If the numbers are going down, that may mean you can keep operational practices the same or even consider reducing the frequency, such as fewer walkthroughs or fewer quizzes during training. No outside auditor or inspector should be making findings about how the facility chooses to handle activities in the light of declining nonconformances, especially where trending is performed. However, where the numbers are going up, you have to do something to address this. Examples of methods to address this could include an increase in training, an increase in walkthroughs, an increase in record keeping, or personnel changes. Thank you for watching. For more food safety training videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.